We define sustainable growth as creating shareholder and societal value while reducing the environmental footprint along our value chains. As we're trying to look at the Sustainable Development Goals and which ones we can have the most impact, we look at things like zero hunger and improving nutrition and health, because those are so important for the ag and food side of our businesses. So there's a big focus there. Certainly climate change is also a really important area that we're focused on, both from renewable energy and energy efficiency opportunities that our businesses can bring. Certainly we have to do our own part with our footprint reductions, but I think what inspires people to in the sustainability space is looking at the growth opportunities and how can we use the trends and the needs that society has to figure out new business opportunities for the company. I guess you could say we were fortunate in the area of climate change because we were CFC producers. We had atmospheric scientists on our staff, and they very early on made it clear that the science was good and that people were impacting the climate. And so we were very early on looking at how do we do this, and we kind of broke it into three areas. So the first was our footprint. We were a large emitter, partially because we had a lot of chemicals that were climate warmers. And so how do we reduce that? So we set early goals, like 1993, we set a goal to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by 45%. By 2004, we'd actually reduced them by 72%. So that was a big piece. I think, again, as I said, the more exciting thing is how do you drive new business opportunities? And so we're a large supplier of materials that go into photovoltaics. It's $1 billion business for us right now. We have a lot of materials that go into wind. We have a lot of things that go into making like automobiles more energy efficient by lightweighting, airplanes more energy efficient. So what are the business opportunities that can be driven by the world trying to decarbonize? So I think the easy first case is cost savings. Things like energy cost money, and anytime you can use less of it, it helps your business. So just reducing waste that's energy, raw materials that you're wasting, things like that, is the first easy case to make. The next one is risk reduction. So we look at like water use. Do we have sites that are in water scarce areas that it could turn out that we have problems with access to water in the future? So how do we focus on that? Again, as I said, I think the more exciting thing is the business opportunity side. So if the world recognizes they want to have zero hunger by 2030, how are we going to help grow more food, waste less food, and get food to the places where people need it the most? So I think if you look at those three components of it, there's a really strong business case for doing it, but it needs to be embedded into the business. It's not some special little group on the side that's adding it on top of things. It really is, how do we think about every decision we're making in our businesses? As I've gone back over and looked at my career, for 20 years, I've been listening to these really, really good examples of what companies are doing. And you sit there and say, for 20 years, and everything that we measure is still going the wrong way in terms of the whole planetary boundaries. And I think what we haven't been successful doing is taking these really good examples, being able to scale them up broader or replicate them at other places. And I think part of the companies we have not invented here, we all want to go out and do our own thing. And we need to be pulling together. And I think it's starting to happen, more collaboration, and saying it's not just about the good example, it's about how do we make that scalable so big that it really does start to impact some of these planetary boundary issues. In my experience, I think one of the challenges is nothing happens fast in the sustainability world. You're in it for the ultra marathon here, and you have to be able to kind of look out that far. You have to get personal satisfaction from little wins along the way, but keep your eye looking out. And I can look back over a 20-year career and say, DuPont has made a huge change, Part of that, I think, is help from what I've done. Part of it, obviously, is the world has changed and we've responded appropriately. So I think being able to see the long view, but keep the pace going and be able to recover from those setbacks when they happen. I think that there's going to be a lot of cool technologies out there. I mean, for example, there's something called CRISPR-Cas, which is you can turn on and off genes. It has implications for the seed, which is important to us on how do you just tweak seeds so that they can do different things. It will have implications in healthcare. It will have implications in a lot of things. I think the innovations challenge isn't going to be the problem. There's lots of cool innovations out there. I'm worried about how as a society do we have that dialogue on what risks with new technologies are we willing to take, and what's the risk versus benefits equation. We don't seem as a society be able to have that. We seem to polarize on so many things. So how do we create a way to have that dialogue and say, in these cases, we think this is a good technology and it's worth any risks. In this case, maybe it's not, and we shouldn't proceed down that and have that with scientific underpinning.